Before I get started, I wanted to do something real quick to just get us in the mood. And just take a deep breath. This is partially for me. Okay. In and out. Thank you. Okay. Like she just said, my name is Dejan Jackson. I'm a high school senior at Envision Academy, and this is my WLE presentation. Now that stands for Workplace Learning Experience. This was an internship that I did for 2 weeks in my junior year, and this is what I learned. Oop, sorry. A little bit about me. I love to play soccer, video games. I love watching movies, listening to music, and I have a deep passion for knowledge. That's something that I learned pretty early on. Onto my internship, I did it with CCSA. That's the California Charter Schools Association, and really what they do is they advance the charter school movement through advocacy, leadership on accountability, and resources for member schools like mine. And CCSA is really a trusted source of data and information on charter schools. All of my internship was made possible by this man, Alan Ratliff. He was my mentor at CCSA. He is the director of youth organizing in Oakland and Los Angeles. He was born in Honolulu, Hawaii, and he went to the Ohio State University as a political science major. He told me to say that. So at CCSA, I had a list of things that I did. I did phone banking, which is like calling houses and giving them information on laws that are going to affect charter schools and candidates that are going to vote for charter schools or against the charter schools. I also did canvassing, which is the same stuff, but at your house. So on Sundays when people show up, that could have been me. Speech writing, I did that for events like going to the school board. I wrote like little 2-minute things. I also gave a rally speech at Sacramento at the Capitol. That was a bit longer than 2 minutes. But yeah, writing speeches for stuff like that. I also wrote them for my peers as well who were struggling with stuff like that. Public speaking, like right now. This, about probably before my internship, I wouldn't have been able to do, but I feel like throughout that, I kind of got the skills of speaking in front of the people. Research, that's something that I did a lot of when I was giving not presentations, but I was giving speeches and stuff and talking about like who you should support. I really had to have the knowledge about what it was, because you can't really go talk about like, oh, this one guy supports this thing, but if you don't know what else he does, then you can't really just tell someone to back him. So I had to really know what I was talking about when I was giving recommendations to people. It's a lot of research. Here, I'm going to be talking about my leadership skills, what I learned, and the big picture of my internship. There we go. At our school, we have these things called leadership skills and stuff, and so the two that I use are communicating powerfully and thinking critically. I use communicating powerfully when I emailed to other departments, coordinated with organizers, and spoke at events. A lot of people, when they talk about communicating powerfully, they just talk about like this, like speaking in front of people, but a really big part of that is your writing. I had to send lots of emails to people because you really just won't get a lot of meeting with politicians. And to just be able to convey your full thoughts through your written word, that's a really strong skill. And it's going to take people a lot of places. And that's something I really learned throughout my internship. Thinking critically was the second skill that I use a lot. I used thinking critically when I revised my big project. And it was because during my research and communication with this woman who's a part of the OUSC school board, I found out that the project I was trying to do, which was to get a charter school student onto the council or to the school board, there was a clause in the way of me doing that, so I had to really shift my entire project to addressing the clause as opposed to getting them on there. It's a pretty big change, but I feel like through the preparation and stuff that I had with the school, I was able to really make that shift and really create a whole new project. I learned a few things in there, some about myself, about my profession, and about the work. What I learned about me is I have the potential to be a leader. This is something that, thank you. This is something that really changed from my 10th and 11th grade years. I kind of had this problem of like helping people get to where I want them to be, or like helping them get further. But in that, I kind of like lost myself, and I would kind of let myself fall behind. But through this project and, just being at my school in Vision, they really kind of showed me how to help people by leading by example. I would be where I wanted them to be at and help them get to where I was. That way I was addressing my own needs and also the needs of people I was trying to help. I also learned that busy environments and schedules suit me. It's gonna sound strange for a lot of people, but there were some days when we had like a meeting in the morning, and then we would walk through the Capitol and go knock on people's doors in the offices and try and get votes. And like those days just being busy, it really just felt right with me. And that's something that I kind of just really, if I didn't have this internship, I would never know. I kind of had to just be in it to know that. And I learned about the profession, is there's lots of behind the scenes work. For example, when I was talking about my big project that I did, the stuff behind that of changing the project and emailing the different people, you don't really see that. And so me getting this view of seeing all the behind the scenes stuff, it really gave me a nice view of what it's like to actually be in the profession of politics. I also learned that you have to write lots of papers and emails. When I did this at my school, my English teacher was screaming and cheering. It's like, oh my God, yes, papers. But yeah, that was a really big thing for me because I'm not really big on writing and all of that, but it kind of just showed me that there is, writing's gonna show up everywhere, and it was nice to just have that view ahead of time. I learned about the work is you have to speak out for yourself. Even in an organization like CCSA, where they're really trying to address the needs of the kids, a lot of the adults there still kind of have this ageism thing going on, where it's like they see a kid and they see your face and it's like, oh, he's here, but he's probably here to just fold papers or do something like that. And so they kind of you have to get your message through to him, like, yes, I am here to do the same work as you. I am the same, bright, intelligent. And so that was something that I really just had to just do and be in it. I also learned that you have to be flexible. Oh my God, I'm gonna tell you, there was one day where we spent 3 hours preparing for the school board meeting, and about an hour before the actual meeting, they sent out an email saying that they changed the entire agenda and they won't even be covering the topic we prepared for 3 hours. So stuff like that's really just gonna happen all the time. You're gonna be so prepared to work on a campaign, and then the person you're working for will just change their whole agenda and they don't support you anymore, and it's so much stuff you gotta just keep up with. You gotta be flexible. My improvement as an intern. Shifting from pushing others to leading by example, that's what I talked about earlier before. I feel like that was probably the biggest thing that I really got out of this. It was something that I've started on in 10th grade, like I said, but really just working with all the people there, I really got to improve in that. Grow and learn more about advocacy and politics. The internship of being in it myself, that was like a real thing that I think more students should have the opportunity to be able to do. But really being in the field showed me so much about what it really is to be in this career. What I learned about my college and career path. In 10th grade, we had to give a presentation, and in that presentation, I talked about my career as a software engineer. None of this is software engineer, by the way, if you didn't know, but it really just being able to experience things hands-on, like I did some projects with software and stuff and did some projects with politics, but I think it's a really big thing that students should be able to actually get out and get their hands dirty with what they want to do, because that really gives you a view of what you're interested in, what you like. You can get a lot from reading papers and looking at bios, but you really got to experience it yourself. Also, by the way, people are reading this. This is one of our first campaigns that we did. It reads, "Discover a public school created with kids in mind, public, free, open to all, made for California families." Pretty big campaign for us. These are some images from my work there at CCSA. This first one was us preparing for 3 hours and then not actually doing anything. This is us on our way to Sacramento. This is probably us preparing for another board meeting. That's us actually at Sacramento talking to some people. Preparing families. Oh, this right here, my best friend at work, my big sister. She is also working at CCSA. Her name is Haley. Yeah. Thank you for having me here, giving me the time to speak.